Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome again to our Friday's edition of Maximizing Your Singleness. And here I am again, Pastor Daniels. I'm here with Angie, my co-host. And listen, we have a beautiful day today. Have a great topic to discuss. And so you just, put on your seatbelt, hold on tight, and come along for the ride. So how are you doing today?
I'm doing well. Thank you. How are you?
I'm doing great.
Okay.
It's always a lovely day. So this is what I'm going to do because, one of our members said to me, they watch you on YouTube.
Oh, right? Okay.
And they said to me, you know what? She is absolutely wonderful.
Oh, wow.
As a program host.
Okay.
And what they said to me was that you really bring things out in a way that is real.
Oh, that's good.
Okay.
And that's what I want to do. Thank you.
So I'm going to just kind of take a second seat today, and I'm going to let you open up with our topic, and then I'm going to kind of chime in whenever you tell me I need to say something.
Okay. Well, please do. I mean, you don't have to wait for me because really I need some input from you as well. So, and basically today, I'll put it this way, on Sunday, listening to your message, you said something and the Holy Spirit really stirred up at that point. Mm-hmm. And you mentioned loneliness stemming from depression. And I had already prayed and asked God, what do you want me to speak on next week? Mm-hmm. And that stood out because I've dealt with that before. Actually, there are times that I actually deal with it. It's an off and on thing. It's not something that I would say that I've gotten completely over. Mm-hmm. It comes and goes. Just depends on the day, really. Mm-hmm. So I know if I deal with it in that sense, I know that others do as well, especially other singles, really.
Let me say that you're right. Mm-hmm. And I'm sure singles do, mm-hmm. but I think married people do too.
True. That's true.
Because I think sometimes when you're married, the assumption is, and I'm sure you can relate to this as well.
I can.
That because you have someone else in the home with you, mm-hmm. that means you feel like you have someone with you. But actually, what I have found in my counseling is that there are people who are married mm-hmm. that feel more alone than people who are single.
I've been there before.
Because it's like it kind of exacerbates the thing when you're sitting in a house and watching another person on a chair, but there's no connection anymore. Just no connection. Mm-hmm.
Or never had it to begin with.
Right, or it wasn't there. And so now the question then is, how do I move from how do I deal with being alone, right? Mm-hmm. Without being lonely, right? I think that's the key. I think that's the key thing that we have to grapple with.
It is definitely. And I will say, basically for me, I've been in a relationship with someone and still felt lonely. Mm-hmm. And like you said, having someone sitting right there, they're watching TV, you're in your own world, but you feel like something is missing. Mm-hmm. And I think a lot of people go through that. And the thing is, when you don't have purpose in life, then you will feel like something is missing. It's going to continue that way until it took me all these years to surrender to God, to mm-hmm. really begin to understand that. And even still with me having purpose now, I had to begin to walk in my purpose. Mm-hmm. And even with me walking in purpose, I still go through these changes. So for me, I've had to recognize, there are certain things that we have to do just to keep going every day. And it may sound cliche, but we mm-hmm. do have to just take it one day at a time.
Yes.
Seeking God for his love, first of all, is the first key, because man or woman, and when I say man, I mean all, as humans, we will disappoint one another, mm-hmm. but God won't.
Right.
I mean, we may have disappointments in the sense of not getting what we want, but God knows what's best for us.
Mm-hmm.
So we have to seek him for love, because what we're seeking is already on the inside of us. I had to go through that. I was seeking love for years in every place except for on the inside of me. And I didn't recognize what I needed was already there. I went from relationship to relationship, looking to be fulfilled and looking for someone else to love me more than I love myself. I thought I loved myself, but I began to recognize when I allowed myself to participate in certain relationships, situationships, that I really didn't. And that's why I wanted to discuss this as well, because when you're feeling lonely or alone, you will start to settle for things that you shouldn't settle for, period.
Yeah. And I'll say this, and I wanted to differentiate something.
Okay.
Not because I'm debating what you said.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
But I see alone and lonely as two different things.
It is.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
Because sometimes I like being alone.
Oh, so do I.
So do I. I like being alone,
mm-hmm.
but I don't like feeling lonely.
Exactly.
You know? And you said something, and I do want us to get to some of the meat of things that you wanted to discuss as well. But you said something that kind of, hit me for a second there.
Mm-hmm.
And that is, I like being alone because I like me.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. Yes.
So because I like me, there are times I just want to be with me.
Mm-hmm.
I think that oftentimes people that feel lonely don't like who they are.
I can agree with that on some levels. That's correct for some people, because they don't know themselves.
Right. And that's what I mean when I say you don't like who you are. Not that you're a bad person, but you don't like your circumstances.
Exactly.
You don't like what's going on with you.
That's
you don't like you say, I don't have a purpose in life. So you don't like where you are. And so your joy comes from other people.
Exactly.
But when you like you, your joy doesn't come from other people.
That's correct. That's true.
So from again, I'm not a psychologist,
but you are a counselor.
But I am a counselor, and so I think from that standpoint that when I'm looking at people and counseling people, those people that feel good about who they are, I've rarely heard them say, "I feel lonely."
Okay. That's something to think about.
But people who, when I'm talking to them, I'm counseling them, who feel like they need to be fixed, are the ones that oftentimes feel lonely. I don't care if they're in a room full of people. They still have that sense of feeling lonely. Sometimes I hear people say, I was in a crowd, but I still felt alone. But then when I'm actually talking to them, they really didn't feel alone. They felt lonely because they felt lost in the crowd.
Okay.
Because it's almost as if the crowd didn't exist.
I understand. I begin to wonder if that's a sense of insecurity as well.
I believe it can be. I believe it is. So, I think the thing that we have to, and that where perhaps through our conversation we can help somebody today is to help them to how then do you look inwardly and not outwardly? Because most people, when they feel lonely, they think about, I am alone.
Yes, exactly. Which is, and we're not alone. God is with us.
Right. And see, if you think you are alone, then you think the cure for loneliness is to get somebody else.
That is true. And that's not always the case, because like we said, you can be with someone and still feel lonely and not be alone.
Right.
But I will say, God is the cure. That's the bottom line. You have to surrender to him. And I know it sounds cliche, but you have to surrender to him. You have to give it all to him, your pain, everything, and he'll give you purpose out of that pain. But you still have to do your work. You can't get away from doing the work, because a lot of times we think, all right, well, I'm going to give it to God and now he's going to fix it and he's going to put someone in my life. But God is not going to just insert someone into our lives for us to make a mess of it even more.
Right. Because it won't change anything.
It's not going to. It's going to make it worse, actually.
And one of the things that you brought to my attention early on is that And the Bible says this too.
Mm-hmm.
If you want a friend, you have to show yourself friendly.
Exactly.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So that suggests that if you want to have a sense where you don't feel lonely in the crowd, where then that means you have to look at what am I looking for in others, and then say to yourself, well, when I say looking for in others, I don't mean what people can do for you per se. Mm-hmm. But if you feel lonely, it's because you want a certain type of person to be around you, right? So I'm saying the question then has to come, and again, I got this from you. This is nothing that I thought up. It comes from you. Is that, well, what do I do for me or do to me to develop me so I become the very thing I'm looking for? Because if I become what I'm looking for, I'm more likely to attract that which I'm looking for.
Exactly. Right? You just said it. That's it. You have to be the person that you want to attract. Basically, during this time, to maximize this time, what I have been doing, even though it's hard to balance it, but you have to really try and you have to be intentional about everything that you do. Once you surrender to God and you're giving everything to Him, He can show you what you need to work on within yourself, but then you want to also surround yourself with people that love you, family and close friends. Ask God, first of all, to bring those people into your life to show you who should be there to help you. And that's one thing that I did. And there are some people that won't make the cut and you have to accept that. And also I would say just, you want to start, ask God, what do I need to do right now? Maybe He wants you to go back to school, develop yourself, go back to school, start working out. And I fall in and out of that thing just here recently, just putting on weight. And, because I start focusing over here and then this kind of falls off. So there are so many things we can be doing right now. And when we're not active and pursuing us, loving ourselves, that's when we get lonely, because I want to say sometimes boredom kicks in, or maybe a little bit of stubbornness where you feel like, well, I don't want to do this right now. I don't want to do any of these things. I want someone here, because we are human. We are flesh. We do want to be loved. We want to be touched. We want to be held. We go through all these different emotions. So it's difficult when you don't have that. But the thing is, God is not going to make it happen any sooner than it's supposed to, if you're waiting for Him to send you the right person. If you want to attract the right person.
With that in mind, you have to be honest with yourself too.
We do,
right? And because oftentimes I find that people aren't even honest about themselves, about their position.
No, we're not.
Like I heard people say things like this. Well, I don't need anybody anyway.
Yeah, we do.
But yeah, we do. Right? You do. But when you keep saying that, your attitude reflects that.
It does.
So rather than pulling people to you, you push people away from you.
That's exactly what we're doing.
And so it does require somewhat of an overhaul on us.
It does.
Initially, because, let me just throw, I know this is a curveball. Let me throw a curveball in the picture.
All right.
The other day, I got a Facebook post, from my friends. Not that they were trying to send it to me, but when they, sometimes people post stuff and get a notification, and it showed a person, they were talking about what a wonderful time they're having and all this stuff. And I thought to myself, when you post on Facebook, you're having a wonderful time. Are you trying to convince yourself, or are you trying to convince other people? Because I'm just saying, it would seem to me, if you're really having a great time, why are you trying to advertise it to other people?
Exactly. You don't need everybody to know, hey, look at me. I'm having a wonderful time here. And I will say this, I've known people that post things on Facebook to make the world think everything is perfect. But then when I talk to them behind the scenes, they're just as unhappy. They're miserable. Just as miserable as they can be, because they're married in a situation, but just not happy at all with the mate that they have.
Or single and trying to act like my singleness now is the best time of my life. And it can be, But that's what I'm saying, be honest with yourself. I think you have to be honest, first of all, and say, you know what? I am not happy with where I am in life.
Exactly.
I am not happy with who I am. I am not happy with what's happening to me. And you can be successful and still not be happy. You have a successful career.
It's true.
And still be happy. But once you own that, then you'll start to change that.
Exactly. And take the steps.
Yeah, and without blaming other people.
That's right.
You own it, you change it, and you assess self and say, well, you know what? Maybe I'm not the best me. Maybe I haven't maximized me.
Exactly. There's a reason why God hasn't brought that person along yet. He's still working on us. There are some things we need to do still. Could be working on your credit. Just ask yourself, are you the person you would want to meet right now in your current status? Being very honest, are you the person you would want to meet? If someone approached you that was just like you, are you okay with that? If not, work on those things. Those are things you can do in the midst of feeling lonely. Also, once again, purpose. I can't stress purpose enough, because in order to meet the person that God wants, and you can correct me on this if I'm wrong, shouldn't our purposes collide? If we're in purpose, they're in purpose, then we'll know when we meet the right person. God will show us, he'll reveal that to us, but we won't know if we're sitting and we're unhappy. And don't get me wrong, things are going to happen. We're going to have our days, but we still have to get up, keep going, take it one day at a time, just keep going, like I said before. And we have to also, if we're recognized, are we idolizing a relationship? Are we giving God the glory? Are we putting him first? Or is that relationship, just the thought of it, consuming us?
That's a message for Sunday morning. Are we idolizing a relationship? Wow, that's a mouthful. Because that leads to a feeling of loneliness when you do that. Because when you idolize the relationship, when the relationship is taken away, it's almost like it takes your breath away.
Exactly.
You know, it's like it zaps your energy, it zaps your heart, because you're placing more importance on that person than you are on the God that you serve. That's absolutely true. That's a great point. And unfortunately, people do that.
Yes, we do.
And let me say this to people, and the relationship doesn't have to be what I would consider
romantic,
right. There are people that idolize the relationship with their children.
Yes, I've seen it.
And when the child leaves, now they are depressed.
Exactly.
Because now they feel alone. Now they feel lonely. Whereas if they didn't idolize a relationship with the child, if they looked at the child as if it is my job to grow you up so you can be productive and you can be single and maximize your singleness and then get married. When the child left, they would be proud that the child left. It would be an exciting time than a depressing time.
Yes.
And so that is key no matter what the type of relationship. You're right. You can't idolize a relationship. You have to idolize the God that you serve.
That's it.
And it has to be the right God, right?
That's right.
It has to be the God, the living God, the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob.
That's right.
Absolutely right.
That's right. So I think with that being said, and like I said, just those things to help beat the depression, just doing the things that you want to do to become the person that you want to attract, working on your credit, and asking God, should I go back to school? You want to ask him what he wants you to do in this season. Not what you want, but what he wants. So when we start putting him first and following his will, then everything can line up. But until then, you'll continue to go through this season of loneliness. You know, you'll call it, you think it's a season of loneliness, when really it should be the season of working on you and loving you, dating you, and just getting to know yourself.
I love that term, dating yourself, right? Dating yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And the more you date yourself, and the more you focus on the purpose for God, that will transition you, because that purpose will help you see other people.
It will.
And it will lend the Spirit will move you to help other people, because you can use your experiences to help other people.
Exactly.
And the more you help other people, the more you take your mind off where you were.
That's it right there.
And it keeps moving you through.
It does.
And it moves them through.
It does.
And so that sense of accomplishment now is not because I have someone sitting in the chair next to me, whispering in my ear, telling me how cute I am.
Exactly.
But it's because now I know that I have a purpose and I have met that purpose.
Exactly.
And now when God starts to get the glory out of everything, He will make that heart joy. He will put that joy in your heart.
That's it, right there.
And that's the kind of joy that, and much I love my wife dearly, I give my life for her. But the kind of joy God gives me can't compare to what no one else can give me.
That's
Even
true.
she can't give
That's
me that.
true. That's what
my mother couldn't give me that.
Yes.
But that joy that God gives you when you meet His purpose, that's the one that everyone should be looking for.
That's right.
And maximizing being single is about finding that joy.
That's it.
Right?
And then I would also like to say, for those, there are some people that say, well, I'm good all by myself. And you want to be good, per se, alone. I think there's a balance to it, but I don't think anyone is just 100% good all the time, because holidays roll around and things like that. But sometimes I think it's more of a defense mechanism for some people that have not done their work and they're afraid of getting out there again. So they just kind of stay to themselves. So I would say ask yourself that also. Is this something that you're doing just to keep from getting hurt? Or are you really okay? If you are okay, that's great. Are you walking in purpose within the church and outside?
Well, I'm going to say this. The Bible says that God declared it is not good for man to live alone.
That's right. That's right.
So, and I think God knew what He was talking about.
I agree.
Now, that doesn't mean that if you are single, that makes you bad, right? It just means that the higher purpose was not for us to be alone.
That's right. That's right.
Now, will God permit it? Absolutely. Will God let you flourish in it? Absolutely.
Yes, He will.
But let's, again, we have to be real, like you say, that you know what? I'm in this situation, so I'm going to be the best single person I can be.
That's right. Grow while you're in the situation until He merges you with the one that He's got for you.
So, our time is, time, when we get to talking, time goes so fast.
It does.
But if you will, just give them, I know you had 3 key things that you talked about. So just, if you could just let the audience know just so they can put that in their head, what those key 3 things were, and then we'll go ahead and close out for the day.
Definitely. Thank you. So first of all, you want to seek God for love. Seek God for love, not outside influences or vices or other coping mechanisms, situationships, relationships. Seek God. You want to seek God for purpose. And you also want to ask yourself, do I reflect the godly characteristics in order to be with a mate during this time in your life? So, and that's it.
Thank you so much again. I'm Pastor Daniel. This is Angie. Listen, you got it from both sides. You got the wisdom from the single side and the married side, and the Holy Spirit just connected them together. Thank you so much for being out there. Please don't forget, share this podcast with others that you know. Share it. Give us your comments. We thank you. God bless you. Have a beautiful day.
Thank you.